Hi, it's Jacob again. Sorry for the interruption or question of the day videos. Last week I was working furiously on new content for our website. Check it out in the link below. Today we're looking at a unit conversion problem. We've got Alan here who is driving. Look at your problem and let's go over it. Okay, so I went ahead and made a list, which I strongly recommend you do, of all your salient numbers. We have 100 miles a week he drives. His car gets 25 miles a gallon. He wants to reduce his expenses by $5 a week, and he's paying $4 a gallon. I'm going to show you a few different ways to do this. The first is using the answer choices themselves. I'm going to look at my answer choices and see what will cancel off just using the units. So we have two options here for the slope, 25 over 4 and 4 over 25. And then we have 95 and 5. Now, off the bat, I don't like the 95 answer so much. I don't know how we'd get to 95 with the numbers given unless I subtracted 5 from 100, which would just be using all four numbers in some way, so it's tempting. But I can't subtract dollars from miles or vice versa. I can't say I'm 16 miles away from paying my mortgage this month. So I'm suspicious of that, but I'm not going to do anything about it because, as we know, the SAT loves to give us answer choices that are correct, but they're in formats we're not expecting. So let's deal with the slope first. All right, so 25 over 4, 4 over 25. So 25 is miles over gallons, and 4 is dollars over gallons. Well, if I flip these over, right, as though I was putting it in a decimal, I was flipping the fraction and multiplying, I would end up with a unit that has miles over dollars, because these gallons would go away, because this gallons would go to the top on the bottom here. So I'd have miles over dollars, and on the surface that doesn't seem terrible, but then I multiply it by M, which is in miles, right? M is in miles, and I'm going to end up with M squared times divided by dollars for my unit. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm going to get rid of A and B. Now, we can also say that doesn't work for a practical reason, too. If it's 25 over 4, it costs him well over $1, well over $2, so on and so forth, to drive 1 mile. It doesn't make sense. So I'm left with my 4 over 25s. Now I turn my attention to the dollars, or the equal sign of this thing. So is it 95 or is it 5? If I had to guess here, I'd pull the 5. It is the 5, and here's why. Well, let's go back to our slopes again. If with 4 over 25, I end up with $4 over gallons over 25 miles over gallons, and my gallons again are going to cancel, that leaves me with 4 over 25 dollars over gallons, dollars over miles, which multiplied by miles will cancel our miles and leave me with just dollars, which would be equal to 5, which is what I want. Notice I didn't actually use the week when I did this because there's only one time unit. I don't have days or months or hours or anything like that. I'm not overly concerned about the weeks actually being in play here. Second way to do it, which is one way I recommend in my book, which is actually more helpful on questions where you need a quantitative and number answer versus an equation, is to use what's called a dimensional analysis. And you guys have done this that have taken chemistry or physics. Sometimes you do it in your stoichiometry unit in chemistry. But I always like to start with my thing that has single units. And you can also work backwards on this. You have to be a little bit careful, though, for what you've got. So if I start with miles, that's going to be problematic. And that's the traditional starting place for most people on this problem, because that's my first unit, right? But you see, when I did it this way, I didn't even use it at all. It's actually extraneous information. So I actually like working backwards on this one and seeing what I need to work with. So I want to end up with $5. So to get $5, I need to have $5 in the top in the preceding one, right? So that means it's got to be $4 here, and then 1 gallon here. So I'm kind of doing it backwards. So now I want the gallon to be on top so I can cancel it. 1 gallon, 25 miles. And that allows me to cancel gallons, right? And see, that's how I got my 4 over 25 times the number of miles is equal to 5. Actually, I made one too many brackets. I didn't count right. But that's not a bad way to do it either. A lot of people end up doing it the long way. If you start with 100, you can still get the right answer. But basically what you end up doing is calculate how many gallons you used before, subtracting the equivalent of $5 worth of gallons, and then finding out how many miles that is and subtracting the two. So it is a longer way, but it is feasible. Thanks so much. Check back tomorrow for a grammar question. Have a great day.